Okay. All right. So welcome everyone to the Wednesday seminar on energy medicine and how to make that part of our holistic wellness. We're going to review kind of some of the first two sessions that I did. My name is Rita Lampe. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm also an Eden Energy Medicine clinical practitioner. So the first session we did a couple months ago was all on grounding, and we talked about, and that is recorded. I don't know if Jen has the recording or not, but we talked about why grounding is really important. And I'm just going to review real quickly because it came up in our discussion prior to me pushing record today about earthing mats and grounding mats and why they work. And, you know, if you Google it online, you're going to get lots of different stuff coming in, but my personal experience has been that they have worked really well in terms of eliminating and moving inflammation out of my body. So basically what it is, it's called an earthing mat. You plug it into the grounding port of your electrical outlet, and the mat you can put underneath your feet. You can sit on it, or you can put it at the bottom of your bed where your feet are touching it. They also have earthing sheets, which I have in my bed. So the whole premise is that it's pulling in that grounded energy from the earth that helps the body reduce inflammation. And there's a book about it. It's called Earthing. You can look online and get it. Maybe it's even in the library now. I don't know. But I read about it. I heard about it from a lot of my teachers. And I thought, well, I'm going to try it. $50, might as well try it. Because I had a lot of pain after sitting for too long. My hips would feel really stiff. And I know that's inflammation. I also would have a lot of pain in my elbows, all the joints. Oh, here's someone. Let this person in. And so I thought, I'm just going to give it a shot. And I did, and it helped a lot. I didn't wake up in the morning as stiff. I was able to get out of bed and not feel my hips hurt so much. And then the big experiment was when I rode on a 75-mile bike ride on our tandem. And it's a long ride, and we did a lot of hills, and I was pretty sore when I got home. And the Tour de France athletes use grounding and earthing mats all the time to recover after their long ride, so they can get up the next morning and not have such pain, or, you know, the inflammation from the buildup of lactic acid is not there. So anyway, I took a bath, I laid on my mat, and the next day I got up fully expecting my quads and my body to feel like, oh, nothing. Walk down the steps, usually after you've ridden like that, your muscles are tight and you're, you know, got some pain. I walked down the steps and I felt like I hadn't even done the ride. So my husband got up and he had a lot of pain. So I was like, oh, well, this is my experiment. So I've had other things, like I just said, I had the fall and woke up the next morning fully expecting to feel achy and pain, but I didn't. So you can, if you want to, you know, put on the chat or I'll put on the chat my email, and you can email me and we can talk more about it. But that was our first session. And then the second session was, we talked about, we did the daily energy routine, and that's on video. So you can get on the Cancer Caring website and watch that. We went through what Donna Eden has called the daily energy routine, a way to balance our body's energies every day. That's kind of foundational to any of the work we're doing here. Welcome, Martha. I don't see you, your face, but I see your name. So welcome. Today, what I want to do, because I'm building little building blocks about how to work wellness, energy medicine into the wellness plan for people who are struggling with what you all are struggling with. So today I want to talk about the immune system and what are the key things in the immune system that, from an energy medicine perspective, we talk about working on when people have cancer or any autoimmune disease or anything like that. And so the two main things I'm going to talk about today, and we're going to do some actual exercises related to that, are the spleen and what we call in our work, which was based on traditional Chinese medicine, the triple warmer. Triple warmer energy is related to the adrenal glands. Okay, so the adrenal glands are a system, right? And they're organ too. But so stress, as we all know, is a contributing factor to all illness, right? Any doctor you talk to will tell you that. So the triple warmer, the adrenal gland system, is one of the systems that helps the body respond to stressful situations. And typically it's there to help us flee from danger, protect ourselves in times where we're really under literally life-threatening situations. And it's old, it's an ancient, mechanism in our body that helps the fight, flight, or freeze response get triggered so that we can, you know, um, deal with trauma or stress. But what happens now is that that system doesn't understand if it's, a serious life-threatening danger, like a lion chasing you, or, someone saying something that hurts your feelings, that just triggers you from maybe something you got heard when you were a child. The body has a similar response. So that little fight or flight or flee mechanism goes off. It's like the little volume gets turned on. And we also live in a world that's pretty fast paced, and there's usually a lot of stress just from jobs and travel and traffic and kids and in-laws and siblings and whatever. We have a kind of a level of stress that's always here. It's not usually down to zero. So this triple warmer meridian, this energy pathway that's related to the adrenal glands, is working a lot. Okay. And what happens over time, layers of trauma, layers of stress, build. And this mechanism is working really hard. And then because it's over energy, it's working so hard, it's impacting other systems because all of these energy systems work together. And triple warmer adrenal gland system works in tandem with the spleen energy system. So when the adrenal gland system is running high all the time because we're trying to combat stress, it's sucking energy out of the spleen, and the spleen is actually trying to work to keep up. Okay. So it impacts the spleen's ability to protect the body in an immune system response. So we have the spleen that's in the immune system. We have lots of things that are connected to immune system. We have the thymus gland. So when we did the daily energy routine at the last session, one of the first exercises is tapping here under the eyes, which is the stomach. You all can do it with me if you want. Tapping here under the collarbone, which is the kidney meridian, kidney energy. Kidneys are involved in detoxing the body. Okay, so any of the detox organs, kidneys, liver, spleen, are involved in pulling toxins out of the body. And then the middle of the chest here, behind the sternum, is the thymus gland. So when we tap here, we're activating and bringing energy to that gland to get it to respond, to do what it needs to do to keep us healthy. And then right underneath the armpits, about a hand width down, is the point for the end of the spleen meridian, the energy pathway that connects to the spleen and brings energy to the spleen and helps the spleen. So we were tapping here. So there's lots of ways to connect to our energetic bodies that are connected to our physical bodies to help improve our immune system. And those of you who have not read a lot about Eden Energy Medicine, Donna Eden actually had diagnosed with MS in her late teens. She had a diagnosis of cancer and a heart attack all before she was 35. So part of what prompted her to get more involved in this work was her own health. And she was involved in some energy stuff early on, but she studied this system here called Touch for Health. Okay, so it's a book, you can get it. Actually, it's called Touch for Health, which is based on traditional Chinese medicine, acupressure stuff. And then she started working with her own body's energies and learning how they all combine, okay, and how they all interrelate to each other. And one of the things that she observed, and we learn in our training, and I learned in my third year of training, was a whole weekend of cancer protocols and what kind of things contribute to the breakdown in the body that brings on disease in general. And we know that stress is part of that. So what she has observed is that the triple warmer is running so high, and it's the spleen then runs low. And so there's this imbalance between triple warmer, adrenal gland system, and spleen energy that over time, if it stays this imbalance for too long, will be one of the factors that lays the groundwork for the body's inability to fight off any type of disease. It could be a cold, it could be a flu, it could be whatever. But this goes on for years, okay? This imbalance will go on for years before something maybe erupts. The body will eventually say, I can't do it anymore. And it'll show you, it'll tell you, hey, something's not right here. So, and I see this all the time in many of the people that I work with. I'm regularly seeing individual, patients for this work. And so I see this imbalance all the time. I see it in myself sometimes. So that's why I work on myself. So what I want to teach you today is how to strengthen the spleen. The spleen energy has to be really, really strong when you're going through whatever process you're going through in terms of trying to stay healthy. Even if you're post-cancer and you are cancer-free, we want to keep that spleen strong, right? We want to keep it strong so that it can continue to function for us in that way. So there's many, many ways to do that because there's many different energy systems in the body. So I can't teach them all to you, but I am going to teach you some of them. We're going to work on some spleen strengthening, and then we're going to work on how do you balance, and then some adrenal gland kind of sedation, kind of calming that fight or flight system down so that its energy kind of calms down and the spleen energy gets stronger. So now we have a balance. That's what we're looking for, this balanced energy. So we're going to work on both of those today. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about a few other things you can do to help strengthen the immune system. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to calm down that fight, flight, or freeze response, because we all are kind of running sort of with that energy high most of the time. Okay. And so what we do to help that kind of shift into a state of calmness is we take energy out of that energy pathway. We sedate it, we calm it down. And all the meridians, which is what I'm talking about now, because there's 9 different energy systems, but I'm specifically talking about meridians now, are the pathways that are connected to organs and organ systems. So they all run up and down the body and they have a specific pathway. So when we trace them forward, we strengthen the energy in that system. When we trace them backwards, we're sedating. It's like we're taking the energy down. We're turning the volume down. So we're going to first sedate and take energy down out of that adrenal gland system, that fight or flight system, because nothing else will work if we're running kind of like in an anxious way. So we're going to rub our hands together, and you can do this sitting. You don't have to stand for this. The next one, you probably will have to stand. And if you can't stand, you just imagine doing it, but I'll talk you through that. So you're going to rub your hands together. You're going to take your thumbs and you're going to place them on your temples. And then you're going to have your hands here on your forehead. And so we're going to take a couple breaths and breathe with an exhale out of the mouth. And another inhale. So holding these points right now, we are connecting to a point on that triple warmer pathway, that adrenal gland pathway, with our thumbs. And these fingers here are holding on to what we call the main neurovasculars. And it's just it's communicating with the brain and the vascular system to calm down. So sometimes you see people holding this pose just naturally, instinctively, like, oh my gosh, after something bad happened, oh my gosh, you see people hold their head in their hands like this. Humans instinctively know how to communicate with their body's internal energy systems, but they don't really know what they're doing. They just know it helps. So here we are, we're holding the triple warmer point here with our thumbs and the main neurovasculars with our fingers. We're going to take a breath. And on the exhale, we're going to start to move our thumbs behind our ear, real slow, and our hands follow. So this is called the triple warmer smoothie. We're smoothing down the energy, taking it down out of this energy pathway. And then we're going to come to our throat. We're going to slowly cross our hands over. Hold on to your upper shoulders. Take a breath. And now we're going to slide our hands all the way down and off one another. And when you get here, you're going to then land on your chest. I'm going to move the thing back a little bit so you can see me. So you're going to land on your chest here, and you're going to take another breath. Then we're going to make a little heart around the chest, and you're going to make it all the way down to below the belly button. So now you're here below the belly button. You're going to hold on to your ring finger of one hand with all the fingers of the other hand. You're going to sort of slightly squeeze it. You're just giving it a little hug, the end of that ring finger, which is also part of the pathway of this adrenal gland system. And then you're going to do the other finger. Okay, so you squeeze a little hug on the other hand. So that's the triple warmer smoothie. It's moving energy and sedating and calming that adrenaline system or that adrenal gland system. So that's balancing triple warmer when it's over energy. Now we're going to work on strengthening that spleen. Okay. I got to decide which one I'm going to do. I'm going to do several different ways to show you how to do this. But the first way is you're going to go to that spleen point here. That's right hand width underneath the armpit. If you have an underwire bra on, it's going to inhibit the energy flow. It's also going to inhibit the lymph flow. So one of the things that we talk about in energy medicine is discarding any underwire bras because it inhibits energy and lymph flow. Some of you may have heard that from your doctors. I don't know, but it's not the best for breast health. So you're going to take your hands. You can either rub them here if that's too hard for you to do. This might be very tender. Okay, when I first started working with my body's energy systems, this was super tender, and I was wearing an underwire bra. So there was not a lot of energy flow here. The other way you can do it is take your thumbs and just tap back and forth. Okay, so you're basically at the edge of the breast, and you're also at the top of the rib cage. Okay, and you can go around in a circle. Okay, you can also take your hands and rub them this way, and then with your palms down, rub them forward, and then your knuckles down, rub it forward. So you're kind of bringing different energy in when you use different parts of the hand. If this is difficult, okay, from your shoulder perspective, the other way to work with the spleen energy right here, which is the end of the spleen pathway, is to cross your arms and put them underneath like this. And then you can tap this way. So you're communicating with the body with the spleen energy pathway at the end of the pathway. When we tap or rub or work with the beginning and end points of any of these pathways, we're strengthening them, we're helping them. So that's another way to do that. So there's different ways to work with this point. It's called spleen 21. There's points numbered along the pathways. The same, these meridians are the same pathways that acupuncturists use, and they actually put needles in some of these points. We're working with the energy in a different way. So that's one way to strengthen your spleen, okay? And I highly recommend you do that on a regular basis. So the other way is to still put your thumb here and your other fingers underneath the breast, and you're going to do kind of a back and forth rubbing, because right underneath the breast is a neurolymphatic point. Okay, and neurolymphatic points are obviously connected to the lymph system. So you're connecting with that too, and you're strengthening that space and allowing the body, giving the body the message and the spleen the message that it can get back to doing its job. It can get some energy and start to do what it does best to protect us and work with the immune system. So that's one way. A second way is to use a system called the neurovascular system. Okay, so the neurovascular system is exactly what it says it is. It's the brain and the flow of blood. So we're going to go take 3 fingers, put them together like this. So your 2 fingers and the thumb together. It's called the 3-finger notch. We're going to go above the ears. Right above the ears are the spleen neurovascular points. So this one is kind of nice to do when you're in bed. It's a little bit easier to do. You can do it here. You can lean down on a table and breathe. And it's like medium pressure here. You're not pushing really hard. It can be even light pressure. You're just making contact with the point, with this neurovascular spleen point, and you're holding it. We're going to hold for maybe a minute, but you can, when we do this on a patient that we're working on, I'm holding for at least 3 minutes. And so we hold until we feel sort of a pulse underneath our fingers. When we feel that pulse going, it means that the energy is connected and flowing. And sometimes that takes a while to be able to feel that. So if you don't feel it, that's fine. You can just hold for 1 to 3 minutes and breathe. So we're really working with bringing the spleen some fresh, new energy, giving it the message that it can start working in harmony with all the other systems that help strengthen our immune system. Because the immune system is comprised of many different things, like we already said, spleen, the thymus gland. Okay. So you're going to hold the neurovasculars right above the ear. We already did this one. Okay. So another one, and this will be the last one that I think I do, I might do more, is when we want to, what we did with the triple warmer smoothie was tracing that energy pathway backward, calming it down. When we want to bring energy to a system or energy pathway, we want to trace that pathway forwards, and we trace it 3 times. So I'm going to stand for this one. You might not see me completely, but I will talk you through it. I may have even done this at the last one. So we're going to trace the spleen pathway, the spleen meridian forwards 3 times. And the spleen meridian starts at the outside of the big toe. So I usually take 2 fingers. I don't know why, I just like using 2 fingers, to that very edge of the outside of the big toe by the nail bed. And then we're going to trace up on the inside of the foot, inside the ankle, inside of the shin, inside of the knee, inside of the thigh, up to here. We're going to come all the way up here to here and then end back where we were, which is the end of the meridian, end of the energy pathway. That's all meridian stands for, is energy pathway. So I'm going to talk us through it, but I'm going to bend over so you won't see me. And we're going to go to the edge of the big toe, the outside edge of the big toe. So we're going to go down to the big toe, outside edge by the nail, trace on the inside of the foot, inside of the ankle, inside of the shin, inside of the knees, up the inner thighs. You're going to end up here, inside of the hip bones, coming up the side body, up to here, above, like the breast, and then back down. And then you're going to tap here, like we were doing to begin with. Okay. So that's one. We're going to do it 2 more times. So we're going to bend over, outside of the big toe, trace up the inside of the legs, inside of the groin, up the side body, up in line with the top of the breast, and then back down. Okay. And then one more time. Outside of that big toe by the nail bed, around the little bunion on the toe, up the inside of the shin, inside of the knees, inner thighs, up here, all the way up to here, and then back. So that's a very, very powerful way to strengthen the spleen energy. And anybody who's struggling with any autoimmune disease or other illness, keeping that energy strong is crucial to wellness. So those are the 3 ways I'm going to show you today about strengthening spleen. Okay. So just to review, we did the 4 taps here that are part of the daily energy routine, but we ended here, really rubbing, rub underneath, tapping this way. We held the main neurovasculars here right above the ears using 3-finger notch. And then we traced from the outside of the big toe all the way up the body, all the way up to here and back down 3 times. If you want to know more or you want to see some videos around this, I would imagine that one of my colleagues in the energy medicine world has something on YouTube. So you're welcome to Google YouTube. Also, I think this will be recorded, and I think Jen might put this on YouTube as well. So you can Google how to strengthen spleen, tracing spleen meridian forwards. You can get on our website, Inner Source. There's some resources there too. You can get on our Facebook page, which is Eden Energy Medicine. And sometimes people post videos there. So those are 3 ways to work with strengthening spleen energy. We also started with sedating the triple warmer energy, okay? Another way to work with balancing triple warmer, the adrenal glands and spleen, is a technique called the triple warmer spleen hug. It's super simple. I do it when I'm sitting there watching TV. This is what I love about energy medicine. Some of these things are just so simple, you can do them and no one really knows what you're doing, but you know what you're doing. So the triple warmer spleen hug is you're going to take your right hand and you're going to cover underneath your left rib cage right here. So right here is where the actual spleen organ is. And then you're going to take the left hand and you're going to grab onto the elbow. So you're just holding, like you might sit in a chair at a board meeting. Okay, you're holding this pose right here. And what you're doing is you're connecting with spleen energy here, because it comes up that side body and also the organ. And over here on the elbow, that triple warmer, that adrenal gland energy, it actually traces up from the fourth finger and it comes around the elbow and comes up. So when we're holding the elbow, we're connecting with a point on that energy pathway as well. And we're balancing them together. As you hold them together, it's almost like getting them to talk to one another. Okay, so the triple warmer spleen hug. So you can do it this way with the left hand underneath here and the right hand underneath the left side and the left hand over the right elbow. And you can switch it up. You can take the left hand over here and the right hand on the elbow. So you can do it both ways. So we like to work with both sides of the body because the pathways move on both sides of the body. Okay, they're symmetrical. They're one on the left and one on the right, and they're exactly the same. So we want to kind of communicate with both sides of the body. And we're doing that. So this is triple warmer spleen hug. Very, very simple thing to remember. Okay. Another way to work with calming down that fight or flight response, that reactive response, that panicked response we get when something happens, whether it's something truly life-threatening or not. But say you're just anxious about a test coming up. Say you have to go get chemo and you're feeling all this panicked anxiety about whatever's happening in your world, whether it's related to working on getting well or whether it's related to a family situation, doesn't matter. There's another technique they call it various different things, but in this one is the easiest term. It's called the fear tap point. So when we get triggered and that fight or flight response goes off, we want to calm that down. Where I already showed you one way to do that, but here's another way. You want to put your hand on your heart center and you're going to take one or two fingers of their hand and you're going to go right in between the fourth and fifth finger here, right in between the metatarsals here. And you're going to have your hand here and take the other fingers there and you're going to tap 10 times, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to breathe now. Not that you weren't breathing before, but really intentional breathing here. Few breaths. Trying to calm down that response that gets triggered. And then you're going to tap 10 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're going to switch to the other hand. Take a breath, find that spot in between the fourth and fifth finger, and you're going to tap 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And breathe. Deep breath. Then we're going to tap again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you're going to shake it out. So that's another way to help calm down that reactive fight or flight, freeze energy. As I was saying before, all these systems interact with one another. So there's a lot more going on in the body beyond that adrenal gland system and the spleen system. We're also looking at kidney, liver. Okay, so there's other things that we can do to help the immune system. There's a lot of different points on the body that help with that. So I guess I'm going to think about if anyone has any questions right now or comments or anything like that before I do one more thing. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do. This inflammation and all that. Now I have I got RA, which is it's like my immune system's working overtime. So how do you calm it down, but then you still want your immune system working with the cancer things.
Right.
And I don't know what happened, because like I said, there's none in my family, but I don't know if this is from the treatments or the medicine
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, because the systems all work together, how, with chicken or the egg kind of thing. But I think what we're talking about always is balancing energies, right? So as you balance and you strengthen spleen and or balance triple worm, or however, if they're over energy, we want to balance them until they're not over energy. If they're under energy, we want to bring them up so that they're all balanced. So um, it's sort of like a domino effect, right? Maybe your immune system was working really hard for the cancer, and it struggles. Now there's something else that happens. That's not, unfortunately, uncommon. It doesn't mean that you don't still strengthen spleen. You do, but there's other ways to help calm the body down too. I don't know if that is a good answer to your question, but there's many puzzle pieces to what's happening right now for you. And so as I'm hearing what you're saying, there's a lot going on. If I saw you in person and did more an assessment of what's happening with your energies, I'd be able to tell you more specifically what's needing to be balanced, what's out of balance here. There's specific protocols for different types of imbalances, right? So it's hard for me to be real specific with answering that question without actually knowing exactly what's happening for you in your energetic system. But suffice to say, balancing all the stuff that we're doing, the daily energy routine, balancing spleen, balancing triple warmer, is all going to be helpful to whatever is going on, if that makes sense. Is that helpful, Linda?
A little bit. What you say makes sense, as far as I actually feel unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly what the feeling is, but I don't feel right.
Right.
Not symptomatic. I got symptoms for other things, but it's like, yeah. And the medicine they're giving me to suppress my immune system scares me with the COVID and the cancer.
Sure.
But I would be crippled right now without the medicine. So
Right.
I'm trying to help myself here a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. And I think this work will help that, because what's happening is that there's physical symptoms and there's emotions, and they kind of act together, right? So,
Yeah.
you're trying to help your body, but then there's fear coming up over here. But when we work with balancing the energies, it's also helping balancing the emotions. So all I can say is I think you're on the right track in terms of learning as much as you can learn about how to do this balancing of the energetic system. Um, I'm always happy to see people in person if they want to, or you can get the book and you can read more about it on your own, how to do some stuff at home. And that's why you're here today, to learn more about how to do this work. It can seem overwhelming at times with everything else that's going on in people's lives. Oh my gosh, I have one more thing I have to learn how to do to help my body. And all I can say is I honor that, I hear that. And I felt that when I first started this work, because I think everyone that gets into the kind of work that I do with energy medicine has a personal story behind it.
Yeah.
And so, I resisted it at first until I realized that the more I embraced it, the better I felt. So, and the more I learned and understood about how these systems all interact, how the energy systems interact with my physical body, and that I actually can be empowered to work with my energy systems that will impact and help my body function at the level that it needs to function, whether it's metabolizing medicine better, whether it's balancing out things, whether it's allowing my body to detox that it needs to detox. So even though sometimes new information seems overwhelming, I can just say that take in what you can, read what you can. um, Even if you remember one thing from today, if you remembered only this, fine, right? um, every little piece of what you're learning and what is here for you is going to make a difference, right? So even if you remember only one or two things, last time we talked about the daily energy routine, we talked about doing figure eights around the body to strengthen that energy around the body. We talked about zipping up our energies. You know, we did some other tapping exercises to communicate with the body. Even if you do one or two things, you know, so you're not feeling overwhelmed. As you learn more, it'll start to make more sense. And then your body, at least what happened for me, is my body started to crave it. When I started to do more the day that I didn't do anything, my body was like, hey, what's going on here? Almost like the day that you forget to brush your teeth. And at the end of the night, you're like, oh man, my teeth feel kind of gross. My body started to go, hey, you know, you didn't do this and you're not feeling as well today, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Because when I'm feeling off, like you're talking about, Linda, you feel off,
Yeah.
it's energy too. There's an energetic component to that. Could be, you know, that you ate something funny. It could be that you had, you know, some bad news come to you yesterday. It could be whatever. But that the mind and the body, as we all know from a lot of these courses that the Cancer Caring Center is doing, they work together. So what's happening in the mind and emotionally is impacting the body. What's happening in the body is impacting the mind and our emotions. So that's what I love about this work is it's very holistic work. It's working with the body as well as the emotions and the mental stuff, and obviously spiritual. That's the other piece here that sometimes is talked about, and you know, in different realms it's talked about. How do you incorporate a spiritual component of the healing process here? So any other thoughts or questions? Okay. So trying to think of how to end. I guess I'm going to end with doing a couple holds on the body, just so that you can know that there's many, many things that you can do to help the body calm down if it's in a state of panic, to calm down and to reorganize, to rebalance. So when we talked about this being the main neurovasculars, anytime you're holding this in any other part of the body, it's going to help the body re-regulate, because this is giving the body the message, bring that blood flow back up into that forebrain so we can calm down. Because under stress, the blood automatically kind of reverts to going down into the internal organs because it thinks, ooh, I might be in danger. But we're just giving the body the message, we're really not in danger. We might be feeling overwhelmed. We might be feeling scared. We might be feeling angry, but we can calm our bodies down. So holding the main neurovasculars is always a good idea. So I'm going to do this hold. You're going to hold the front hand here, and the back hand is going to go at the very back, the bottom of the skull. So it's a front and a back hold. Sometimes it's hard on the arms to do this when you're sitting. So laying in bed is a nice way to do this. But at the back of the head and holding the back and the front of the head is a really nice way to calm down and breathe. And if you want to slide the hand after a few breaths or a minute or two down a little farther, so you're at the bottom of the skull, at the occipital ridge, that can feel good too, especially if you have a lot of head or neck tension. At the bottom of the skull, the occipital ridge is two really important points in energy medicine. They're called electric points and the power point. So oftentimes our electrical system, you know, because our bodies, our hearts, our electrical system and everything that's running, our body's electrical system gets run down. It's like the generator is not working. So these electric points back here are at the bottom of the skull. They're little soft spots, not at the base of the skull, but on the sides. And you can just rub them or you can just hold them. So we're just giving some calming energy to that space. So you can hold here, you can move up to the base, the flat part of the skull, and you can finally move with your hand on the top of the head, always keeping that other hand on the forehead, the main neurovasculars. So again, this is probably one to do more laying down or sitting in a chair. Sometimes it's hard on our arms to hold that position for too long. And then the last one we'll do, because it's almost time to end, is a hand here. And the other hand's going to go right below the belly button, between the belly button and the pubic bone on that abdomen. So there's many points down there in energy medicine. There's a central meridian point. There's a triple dormer point. It's also the space of the sacral chakra. So there's there's the chakras are another energy system. There's 7 chakras, and this is the second one. So holding that space, which is also called the womb area, that sacral chakra, and the heart area, is a real balancing hold for emotions and for the body. So when I'm feeling really stressed or overwhelmed or upset, there's many different holds that I do on my body, but this is a really go-to one. You just can close your eyes, hold those 2 spaces, and focus on allowing the body to calm down. Bringing in that clean, crisp air as you breathe in, letting out maybe through your breath any stress or tension, any frustration, any of the emotions that seem to be heavy. Just exhale them out and inhale in that renewing, revitalizing breath. Exhaling anything that's not serving us right now. On the inhale, just bring it in, and on the exhale, just let the body just let it go. Feeling the shoulders relax. It's good to take time every day to just sit and hold spaces in our body that need TLC, that just connect with our bodies and our breath. Because without breath, we don't have life. So we can focus on our breath. We're bringing that breath into the diaphragm and into the lungs. And as we exhale, the breath is also detoxing. So the lungs help detox, letting go of grief, letting go of anxiety, letting go of anger. Really big inhale, hold, and then and one more, really big inhale. And hold, and exhale. Okay. Well, I hope that our session today gave you some tools and some ways to help connect with your body, strengthen your immune system, calm down that fight or flight system, and create some balance in between them both. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me, and my email is there in the chat. I know that I will send this recording to Jen, and she'll have it on the website. So if you want to rewatch it, you're welcome to do that. Okay. Any last minute questions? Comments?
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here and taking your time today. And I hope to see you both next month. It's always the first Wednesday of the month at noon.
What's the best way to balance your immune system? Is there one exercise that I can do that would kind of tamp down how it's overperforming and then it's underperforming at the same time? One of those things we did. What's the best one to do?
Oh, geez. I don't know that there's a best one. Whichever one you feel most comfortable doing. If this feels comfortable holding here, if that feels comfortable in tapping, the tracing of the spleen, you can also, there's another thing I didn't teach you, you can flush the energy through. You can kind of clean it all out by tracing backwards and then forwards, but we're not going to go there today. But I would say whatever one works for you, whatever one you remember, whatever one feels best for you right now. If this feels good, you don't even have to hold it like that. You can just cover your ears and hold that spot. If this feels good, tap like that, or just hold that. Just hold that space. If you want to trace from your toes up and that felt good, which one does your body say, that's the one for me? Okay? Because everybody's body is different. Whatever's easiest and whatever feels right for your body is the best answer I have for that.
You know what? Somebody should do some kind of study about those underwire bras and with the rise in breast cancer, because I never thought about it as an energy flow. But and when we were young, like, I don't think our mothers even had those, you know?
No, they didn't. They were invented by men in the 60s, I think.
Okay. No,
So
but yeah, I don't remember them, and I'm wondering, yeah.
I might get in trouble for that comment, so I take it back. I really don't know who invented underwire bras. I will actually investigate that. But if you send me your email, I'll send you a little article about it.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
Yeah,
And
it does make sense.
like my generation, there's several women in my generation in my family who have breast cancer, and the generation, our mothers, none of them had it. And I always wondered why.
Well, there's a variety of factors, and if you talk to anybody, they'll tell you lots of different things. But you know, depending on who you talk to, they'll say, well, we're better at detecting it than we used to be, right? So that's true. They'll also say there's chemicals, and you know, we didn't use pesticides before the 50s and before the 60s either. So the additives and the pesticides to our foods has really increased cancer rates of all sorts, right?
Yeah, but the
Now,
environment in Pittsburgh was bad when
yeah,
my mother was growing up.
yeah,
Like there was days they weren't allowed out because the air was
yeah,
so bad.
yeah.
And I just find this, it makes sense. You always give me something to think about, Rita. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we'll see you next month, Linda. Take care.
Yep, I'll be here. Bye-bye.
Bye.